You're listening to the Wanderlust Swingers podcast with Aussie hosts Kate and Daryl. If you're curious about exploring your sexuality or the swinging, hot wifing and non-monogamous lifestyle, you've definitely come to the right podcast. Or maybe you just love travel adventures. Either way, we share our personal, sometimes juicy, sexy stories as well as swingers club and event reviews, interviews with other sassy people, and of course our global swinging adventures. We try to bring you a look into the diverse lifestyle that the swinging and non-monogamous community has. We hope you enjoy. Now let's get into the episode. G'day everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Wanderlust Swingers. I am joined by Jem and Daz. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Now, if you haven't caught by that very, very small amount of accent that you just heard there, Jem and Daz are actually a couple from the UK. So we're going to see how much slang they bring into the show today. Today's episode, a little bit clickbaity in the title because we really do want to cover quite a taboo thing actually. So we're going to say swinging saved our relationship, and we're going to dig in to Jem and Daz's history, their journey. Like any other couple, they have got kids, they go to the gym together, lead totally normal lives, but they say that their relationship was broken according to Jem and Daz, and swinging saved their relationship. So as we kind of get started in the episode, guys, maybe can you share a little bit about your background? We obviously said you're from the UK. Who are Jem and Daz?
So we're from Bournemouth in the UK. I am 43.
Yeah, I'm 40.
I'm the older one. We've been together for 10 years now and got into swinging 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a little bit about us. Like I say, kids, we've got kids. We go to the gym regularly and lead pretty normal lives.
Yeah, where did you guys meet? Did you actually meet on a dating site, or did you meet traditionally somewhere out at a pub? How'd that happen?
We met on Tinder.
Yeah,
nice.
It was a Tinder day.
I love asking people with a relationship somewhere in the last 10 years, like how did you guys kind of stumble upon each other? And I love it when people like Tinder, especially if they're swingers, because then I'm like, oh, good, you know all about the apps, like you're all over it. How to put your best foot forward.
It was Daz's chat up line that got me. So he was into wakeboarding at the time and surfing, and his little line on his profile: "If you date me, expect to get wet."
Nice. Solid pun.
Super cheesy.
Worked every time.
Now, you said you go to the gym a lot together. You've got the kids. My question is, how do you balance family life? We don't have children. We've got a little fur baby. That's really enough for us. And to be honest, that's even really hard to manage. So how do you guys kind of maintain that healthy balance between the swingers lifestyle, your own sexy time, and then having, family commitments, work commitments?
Yeah, we've got 2 fur babies as well.
Yeah, so
nice.
Just add that in.
2 dogs.
Yeah, so 4 children altogether then.
Yeah.
It's definitely balance is key, isn't it? I think for us, we have to plan. We've got a diary and
I should say Gemma plans.
Yeah, I'm the planner. I say
sync my calendar with hers and just go, I've got to do that today.
Oh, look, a date somewhere.
Yeah. What are we doing here? What have you booked us in for now? No, we always plan ahead. So when there's events going on, I'll have a look, and like if it's a big event that we want to go to, I'll book it in the diary so we can get, childcare. But planning it ahead.
We tend to plan about 3 months ahead. So we'll look 3 months and sort of say, okay, what are 3 events that we want to try and get to? And we're generally always booked up like that. So there's no kind of surprises. There's some last minute things. Someone will say something's going on and if we can fit it in, we fit it in. But there's nothing worse than missing out on like the event of the year because you didn't plan properly for it. And
get proper FOMO.
Yeah, you've got no one to look after the kids.
That's true. We're now planners. We have historically been very spare at the moment, people. And just before I jumped on today's call with you guys, I just booked a weekend over in the Champagne region in France in May. Nice. So I feel very far planned in advance at the moment.
That is.
I know, right? I'm giving myself like a little pat on the back here. What's a typical day for you two? Getting up, going to breakfast, looking after the kids, going to the gym?
Definitely no breakfast. Get up, go to the gym.
Yeah, so we'll get up together. We go to the gym. That's the first thing we do. Come back, get the kids ready for school, breakfast for them. Normally breakfast for me, a cup of coffee or something for Jem.
Dad gets angry if he doesn't eat food. He gets angry.
One of those hangry guys.
Yeah. And then usually like social media work, sometimes content work for OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Depending on what we've got planned that day. But I do a bit of coaching as well. So I have some coaching clients that I'll do like Zooms with. And then always try to get a ride in on my horse. Get a ride in. All sorts of riding. Yeah. And I'll take the dogs with me. And then we usually all have dinner as a family, don't we, at the end of the day? But yeah, that's kind of a typical day, isn't it?
Yeah, we're more like, we were saying this the other day, as we've got older, we've become morning people, we think, which I never wanted to be morning people.
Yeah.
Nice.
But now we're like, get the bulk of the work done in the morning. And then by the time the evening, so I'll often get back from work later, because I sort of start later. And then the evening, we've got a bit of time to just sort of cuddle and relax without having to respond to too much stuff. But
now, we spoke about what we wanted to talk about on the show today, and one of the things that we did want to table was that swinging saved your marriage. And I said to you, this is going to be great because you often hear creators, bloggers, podcasters. I've been guilty of it. I mean, we've got, I think, 250 hours of content here. So you probably, if you went through the depths and bowels of my episodes, you've probably heard me talk about it, which is the old cliche of don't join the lifestyle to save your relationship. Don't join the lifestyle to save your marriage. Don't join the lifestyle if you've got cracks because it's only going to make the cracks bigger. And all these things, just basically don't swing. And what you're saying is that that's obviously not the case for the two of you. So for the first section, we're going to dig into all of that, really. And I think it's going to be an interesting topic and really put that taboo or that cliche and turn it on its head. So you say your relationship is broken. That means different things to different people. Can you maybe explain a little bit about what that meant for you and your relationship?
Probably would say firstly that I would agree with what people are saying. They usually say, don't get into the relationship, don't get into the lifestyle if your relationship's struggling. But we obviously had a solid relationship there beforehand. So we'd been swinging for 3 years before we kind of hit a real low point in our relationship, hadn't we?
Yeah.
We were starting a new business and we just got totally caught up in business life and the stress of it all. And we just had no time for each other and no time to sort of do the things that made us happy, and swinging took a backseat completely. And we were in a bad place, really, weren't we? We nearly split up, and it was nearly the end. And we were just sort of thought, what are we doing? We've got an amazing relationship. We've been through so much together. And that's when we decided that we needed to make time for each other. And we decided to get back into swinging. We booked to go to a club event, didn't we? Mm-hmm. Went along. And I think we didn't even kind of go with like, we're going to play with someone, we're going to do something. We just went along to enjoy the atmosphere and like be with the like-minded people. And we ended up at the end of the night going off to a room, just the two of us. And we just reconnected, didn't we? And we were like, this is what we've been missing from our life. And we just reconnected with each other.
Yeah.
Did you have any fear then when you're having this conversation, if you've already been having some stress in your relationship, and I mean, starting a business or working with your partner is incredibly stressful. Daryl and I actually cannot work together. We've said that many times.
We've realised that.
Yeah, it's a big one. And but how, having that conversation then of getting back into the lifestyle after a stressful moment, were you worried then about the extra pressure that might put on? Like how did that conversation go?
Well, we were listening to a podcast actually, weren't we? We were going to this job that we had and, it was nonstop, and we were listening to a podcast about swinging. It was then that we were like, oh, what are we doing? We used to love this. We used to like really enjoy it. So we chatted about it, didn't we? And I think we just, obviously things weren't great between us, but we just knew that we needed to make time for each other and kind of get that connection back and have the fun that we used to have. So we just decided we would go with no expectations. We sort of hadn't done the kind of big club nights before. It was always very kind of private parties, wasn't it, beforehand, and quite a small sort of affair. But yeah, we didn't have any preconceptions. We were just, let's just go and do something fun, you know, forget about the business and work and just go and spend some time with each other and get back to doing what we love.
So really kind of what you're saying there is having a common goal. Even though there was problems there, you knew that you were both still in it and wanted to then go and explore it. Now, you just mentioned that you were used to sort of smaller parties. So what, you know, maybe share one of your first experiences in the lifestyle and what your initial reaction was when you walked into that. And that can be like back then or maybe when you got back into the lifestyle. Happy for you to share whatever you like.
The first time we ever went to a swingers club, we were on, what's it called? Fab Swingers. We're not on that site anymore, but we were looking at sort of things to go to. And we found this manor house party, didn't we? So that was the first time we ever went to a swingers party. And we had no idea what we were walking into. We were super nervous, weren't we?
Yeah, it was definitely a step outside the norm. I think we got a private message and someone was like, I got this big house and there's a swimming pool. We're going to have this big party. So we kind of went, yeah, I think this is what this is what we thought it was, like big luxurious parties. So we drove down and we were so nervous.
Yeah, we stopped at the pub that was by the place.
So we were sort of sat drinking beer and doing the whole like, should we just go home?
Yeah, what are we doing? Let's just go home. Can't do it.
So we'd had our beer to give us a little bit of confidence beers.
Yeah, I think I have vodka, you have beer.
So we got down there and obviously other couples were turning up and everyone was really lovely.
Yeah.
And the guy whose house it was and his partner were really nice as well. And they were, they knew it was like our first event. We'd sort of been honest with them, which is such a key thing to do, is just let people know if you kind of new, because everyone's going to make the extra effort to kind of usher you in and kind of show you how things work and just make you feel comfortable. So yeah, that was great. But it was beautiful.
It was gorgeous. Yeah. And then they showed us the downstairs, which was like the sex dungeon.
That was it, the dungeon. They were like, at 9 o'clock, the dungeon's going to open. And we were going, what dungeon? Like,
led such a sheltered life.
So 9 o'clock comes and they're like, he's like, I'll take you down, show you the dungeon. And yeah, that was, as now, you know, anyone in the sort of lifestyle who's been to kink clubs and that type of thing will know what a sex dungeon is.
It's totally normal for us now, but at the time we walked in and it was in full swing.
And obviously the people who were there, it wasn't like a newbie event. Everyone was new, you know, everyone was very experienced in the lifestyle. So there wasn't really much, I guess, small talk before.
No, everyone just got straight down to it. We didn't know where to look. Yeah. It was just like, wow, what on earth's going on? But got a little bit involved and I got flogged, didn't I?
Yeah, so Jem has always had a bit of a kink, and this is one of the things we'd sort of discussed as we were kind of getting into this lifestyle. Beyond just the lifestyle kind of things, you start to discuss, so, you know, what are your kinks? What are the kind of things you want to experience and stuff like that? And started to discover these things about each other that we didn't really know. And one of Jem's was definitely the S&M kind of bondage side of things. Definitely not because of 50 Shades of Grey. I think I came out afterwards. So it's
a bit tame, that.
For a lot of people, that is probably their awakening moment. But so yeah, we knew Jem was into that. And obviously at this dungeon, there was the guy who was a professional kind of dungeon master, was experienced in using.
It was very good.
Yeah,
nice.
It was quite funny because I was in sort of like, you know, being flogged. And Daz, I think he was just stood there.
I didn't know what to do. Yeah.
So he just leant down and whispered in my ear. He's like, Jem, I'm going to go and get a drink. I'll leave you to it. I was like, yeah.
That's so funny.
It's definitely part of the thing. And part of my apprehension before going to any kind of events like that, it's kind of like, what if you find yourself sort of stood there and you're like, I don't know what to do with myself.
That was that moment.
That was definitely, we got that out there the first time. And the answer is just go get yourself another beer.
I was just picturing you for a second there with the, you know, the traditional dad stance that you see in hardware stores or whatever. They got the hands behind their back kind of walking around. Definitely
that moment. When they came back down, I was like, how's that? He's sort of done on there. So yeah, it was a great experience. Everyone was lovely and it really made us want to go to more. But it was a jump in at the deep end kind of scenario.
But yeah, we absolutely loved it. Thought it was brilliant. And, you know, did a little bit of soft swap.
Yeah, I was going to just point out, it was our first event. We didn't do anything anywhere near kind of couple swapping or anything like that. We were very clear, both of us early on, that we wanted to take things very slowly. So we just kind of go to events, get to know the the people and kind of how things work. And that first event, we had a little kiss with another couple and a little sort of fondle in a jacuzzi,
in a hot tub.
And that was it. That was totally enough for us. And we were like, wow, that was such a big thing.
We were so super horny. We actually went down to the dungeon ourselves. Everyone had moved out there at that point.
There was another big room they were all in. We were like, we'll sneak off downstairs when no one's there.
And then we went back to the room, didn't we, after that, at the end of the night, and literally couldn't keep... Actually, that's quite a funny story, because you did go back to the room and I couldn't squirt.
Yeah.
I was so horny. Impressively, literally soaked the bed. Yeah. And we ended up having to sleep on the floor.
No, God.
Yeah. And apologise to this beautiful grade 1 listed.
Yeah, apologise the next morning.
But I'm really sorry. I hope that oak 4-poster bed wasn't too expensive.
It's such a wild concept to a lot of people that are probably listening that might not be in the lifestyle, that just heard you say, we went to a swingers event to reconnect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that would be a really wild concept for a lot of people, but it's so true. You said before, with spending time with each other, with kind of reigniting that spark. And then you went out and did this, and then you went back and actually reconnected fabulously. So I think for people listening, if they're not in the lifestyle, they're like, what the hell? That doesn't make sense. But if you're in the lifestyle, it's like, yeah, totally. It makes so much sense to a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. And it depends a lot on what you think the underlying issues in a relationship might be. And I think for us, a big thing was always communication. We tend to, well, me specifically, I don't know if it's a male thing or a personality thing, but I've always tended to be very closed. Gemma's always kind of asked me, what do you feel about this? What do you think of that? And I was never able to articulate emotions or have those kind of conversations. And one thing getting into the swingers lifestyle forces you to do is become better at communicating. And after that first event, straight away, we just started talking better. Like, how did you find that? How did you feel? And beyond that, you kind of then start to find it easier to talk about things in your life. I'm worried about money. I'm worried that this might not be the right decision. I'm worried about the kids.
You pissed me off. You didn't take the pens out.
Yes.
Those kind of things. So, I'm really sorry.
Yeah, rather than stewing on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And I would used to stew on things really bad, didn't I?
And that was one of the big issues that we were facing in our relationship. And that's the thing that we've overcome, is like, we were bad communicators, and now we,
talk about everything, don't we?
And we champion it. And we tell other people everything is communication in a relationship. And if you go out and you do something like this, however far you want to take it, one thing it will make you do is find better ways to communicate with each other.
That's very true. Yeah, absolutely. As you've told us then your first story, what has been your sexiest memory up until this point now on your on your journey? Like, what did that ultimate play session look like?
There's so many.
Yeah. When you think of the image in your head of like sexy, it's like, James Bond-esque, and everyone's all very like done up, and then everything just naturally becomes very sexy. People's clothes just fall to the ground and it's all very hot. And sex is very rarely that sexy, is it? It's kind of like sweaty and naked and fart noises. It's like a big elbow on a...
Yeah.
We've been on the periphery of a lot of kind of experiences that we've just kind of dipped into.
I think for me, probably the most sexiest experience was going back to the very first time, that night we were just talking about, and that feeling of how horny we were the day after. And like, because it felt like we'd opened the door to this completely new secret world, and that we just wanted more of. And like, it was the drive home, we couldn't keep our hands off each other. And we got home and we were like, at it again. We just literally couldn't stop. I think for me it was just like, wow, this is amazing, and how much sort of closer you feel to each other, and like how sexy you feel. I think that's got to be
it's definitely sexier the day after. The thing, whenever you're in a scenario, whether it's a club or just a couple swap at someone's house, there's an element of kind of sensory overload. There's a lot of emotions happening, there's a lot of excitement, and it's a really exciting thing, but it's almost like a roller coaster.
That's true.
It's not until afterwards where you can kind of really sit down and be like, oh, that was cool, and I really like that, and like, I feel really kind of desired. I've had a really nice kind of reinforcement to my own sort of body image and things like that. It's generally the day after, once you've had that opportunity to just let things calm down a little bit. And then we kind of look at each other and we're like, oh my God, you know what? You actually looked really hot last night. And like, and because we've got that relationship confidence and security in each other, you don't have those same kind of feelings that you have. It's a different kind of sex with your partner to sex in the environment and swinging, which I'd say is more of a, certainly, and I don't know if this changes over time, but it's more of a thrill ride than it is a kind of intimate, sexy experience.
But it's always it's that next morning, isn't it? It's always like, or when you get back to the hotel at the morning after, and then the two of us all have sex, and it's just so sort of passionate and like horny, and then we'll talk about everything that happened. That's always the best moment.
That's it. And I know there's often termed as sort of reclaiming sex, where it's like you're kind of getting your partner back and you're like, yeah, you're mine. You're always 100 times more confident with your partner than you will be with anyone else. And for us, that sex is the sexy sex. Yeah. As opposed to the experience of swinging and couple swapping, which is more of just an excitement.
On an adventure.
Just an adventurous sex. Yeah.
It's the sexiest of all the sexy sexes. Okay, good. Love that. I have a little thing here that I like to do on the podcast, which is put everybody on the hot seat. So the hot seat is where I might ask you a slightly taboo question, slightly something that might be a little bit uncomfortable. My question for you today on the hot seat is you're saying that swinging saved your relationship, but how do we know this version of you is going to stick? In other words, go the long haul.
I think that, well, I don't think, I know that this is going to stick because we're the happiest we've ever been. I didn't think I could love Daz more than I do. More than I did, but I do. Yeah, the reconnection that we have now is just amazing. We're so intimate with each other, and you're so much more tactile with me. You know, all the bickers that we just rarely do that anymore. It's just
our relationship was always one of love. Whilst we were facing those decisions about, is this relationship right for us, it was never out of a place of we weren't in love with each other. Yeah. We were just struggling to deal with all of these external influences and, as I said, our own sort of emotional intelligence with one another within the relationship. Now we've kind of overcome those. There's not really anything holding us back. If we ever came up against a problem now, we would head it off before it became a big problem because we're able to talk about it. If there ever was a day in the future where one of us said, do you know what, this isn't kind of, I can feel the love waning, it would be a conversation, we'd have an opportunity to address it. Now, relationships, you know, certainly marriages aren't, the odds are sort of 50-50 really, aren't they? I mean, speaking. So if you're not able to have those conversations, you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to make it a success.
That's true. And I guess you can't really say then that you've tried, can you really? Like if you walk away without having these conversations, you know, you kind of given up.
Exactly that. And small problems become the big problems, and the big problems are the ones that will end a relationship. So you've got to challenge all the small problems as soon as they arise, so that you're not left facing a big problem, which is ultimately someone saying, I don't love you anymore, or I've been...
Because it was never that we weren't in love with each other. We just, you know, I think just lost our way with each other and lost that connection, hadn't we? And outside influences just were sort of pulling us apart.
Jem, I've got one for you then. You just said that you don't bicker as much before, but Daz earlier in the episode said that he gets hangry. So where are we at with the bickering / hangry situation? I'm assuming there's snacks on hand. Is that how we're kind of mitigating that risk? Is that what we're doing?
Always make sure Daz is fed. If he isn't fed and he doesn't have the snacks, it's not good. Just don't be around him.
To say we don't bicker is untrue. Like all couples, we bicker. We bicker more like...
I think it's more in a funny way now, isn't it? Whereas before we bicker and those
been underlying
turn into an argument. Or like now we can sort of like, if something would start, we'll laugh at each other. Or,
we'll bicker over small things. Or before it would be, I could say something and there'd be a week's worth of me going... I'm sure she's not talking to him. I'm getting the silent treatment.
Yeah, I mean, I could go...
It'd take a long time before I was like, not talking to me. Yeah.
I could go silent for a whole week.
Well, it's this thing you said like last week. I'd be like, what Whereas now she'll say straight away, like if I speak to her in the wrong way, she's like, you're not speaking to me correctly.
Yeah.
It's kind of dealt with there and then. And
you apologise, don't you?
Yeah, we can have a bicker about it any time, but it's not, it doesn't drag on.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of knows where they stand. And
cool. Now, I also like to put you on the hot seat, but I like to get you guys to give some gold star advice to our listeners that might be either new to the lifestyle or considering the lifestyle. So what are some of the key ingredients for you guys that make the lifestyle work as a couple? I know you've already said quite a lot. You said communication, you've said just kind of going in and discussing what you want to get out of it. Daz, you mentioned even giving, Jem some space during that dungeon session. So you've already said a lot of good pieces of information. So I don't know how you're going to build on it, but my question is, what's your gold star piece of advice?
Yeah, gold star advice. It's definitely understanding what you want to get out of it, why you're going into it, going very slowly.
Yeah, take things at your own pace. I think you can look at other people and think, or other couples, they're doing that, they're doing this, we must be doing that. But no, you got to do what you feel comfortable with and go at your own pace and set the boundaries.
Yeah, and it's a journey. It's a journey that we're still at the very early stages of, even though we're, considered knowledgeable in the lifestyle. We still see ourselves as still just kind of starting to explore these different things. And there's so many avenues with it that we've not even explored yet. But yeah, it's a journey, and take it slowly and enjoy each step of the process. There's no need to run in and be thinking, well, I need to go out and I need to go and do a couple swap. We've got to find time to do that. I think that's such a big step from just initially exploring what the lifestyle is.
Going to clubs is definitely the best way to sort of get into it and just, be around those kind of people, enjoy the atmosphere. And you don't need to go and do something, you can just play with each other, which we do quite a lot. I think the misconception is that people go and it's just a massive fuck fest.
Just gagging on all the cocks,
Which sometimes it might be.
You want to find that?
Yeah, but, a lot of times we'll go and we won't do anything with anyone because we haven't sort of found someone that we maybe want to.
We definitely treat it more as a social event. And then with the bonus of everyone kind of knows what everyone's lifestyle background is. So there's the potential there for things to escalate if you want them to. But first and foremost, it's a social lifestyle to us. It's meeting people as we are developing really good friendships. It's kind of getting to see the same people at different events and just enjoying the time with people who are just fun and free and open-minded and know how to kind of let their hair down and have honest conversations, which you don't sort of get in Wetherspoons.
Oh, poor Spoons.
Maybe you do get that conversation with Wetherspoons.
Oh, well, you never know.
Maybe, yeah. We've had a lot of conversation about the positives, the communication, how we've done well. I want to continue kind of this thread in the section 2 here, which is kind of the ups and downs of swinging and the realities of it. It's not always smooth sailing. We know that. We've kind of discussed some of that always. But, how do we as lifestylers navigate those ups and downs, those challenges that we face? One of my first questions is, can you recall a moment when jealousy might have crept in and how you managed to navigate through that individually and then, collectively as a couple?
Yeah, I would definitely say in terms of jealousy, that's going to come more from my end than Gemma's. Gemma doesn't tend to get so jealous.
I get a bit turned on by the jealousy.
Yeah, Gemma's always thing where the jealousy for her is a signifier that she kind of wants you. So she's like, if she's feeling jealous of me with a girl, it's because then her attraction levels for me are going up. For me, it's, I guess, an instinct as a male to kind of be protective of Gemma and be like, no other males can come near her. So there is an element of kind of overcoming that early on. Again, we
haven't had any major problems, I would say, with jealousy.
Definitely, I will veto people. Mm-hmm. So anytime there'll be any kind of couple swap action for either of us, it has to be approved by both of us. It's a kind of like, are you into it? Are you into it? Yes, yes. I tend to be more like that guy, like, no, this guy. Oh, what's he? He's got a good set of abs. No, not to it.
So you're kind of heading it off before it gets bigger.
Yeah, exactly. As soon as I can feel the kind of like insecurity coming in, I'm like, that could be a problem. So we sort of stop it. For me, if there's any kind of couple swap action, I have to meet the guys. I have to get along with them. There has to be a real connection between me and them that I trust them enough to be like, I can be in that scenario and I'm not going to have jealousy afterwards.
I'm not trying to put you always on the spot here, Daz, but when you see jealousy or when it kind of starts creeping in or you're triggered by something, you mentioned abs there, but is it always more of a physical thing, or is it sometimes more of a that gentleman is making Jem laugh so much? What are your triggers, do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely, to be fair, it's not a physical thing at all that would trigger me. But yeah, it's more, I would say it's more an attitude thing. If a guy is going to kind of come into our world and into our circle, then there has to be a strong element of respect. And that's definitely something that goes through the whole sort of swinging lifestyle. If I'm not feeling like there is enough respect there for the scenario and for what's happening, or there's almost like a sense of entitlement, like, hey, I know what I'm doing, so you can just leave me with your missus, mate, and you can kind of go, like, straight away, that's not going to work. And they're going to be red flags. And Gemma won't necessarily know it. So some suave guy sweeps in, he's kind of chatting to her, and I'm getting that vibe, then I'm straight away, I'll go over to Jem and be like, I'm sorry, like, I'm just not, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And it's not a physical thing, but it's a vibe. People talk about vibe all the time in lifestyle. And if I get that certain vibe of lack of respect or an air of entitlement, then it's
not for you.
Oh, good. Thank you for sharing. And by the way, Jem, just so you know, the feeling turned on with the jealousy side of it, there is a very well-known sexologist. Her name is Dr. Jess O'Reilly, and she actually gets and talks about this quite often. You might be interested in following her on Instagram and stuff, but she talks about getting very turned on when she's jealous of her partner or another lady. Oh, yeah. So she talks about that a lot, because I think that not only when we talk about jealousy, it's quite a negative reaction, whereas the way that she talks about it is, it makes me horny when I'm jealous. And so, I don't know, Dr. Jess O'Reilly, have a look at her on social media.
Oh, I will. That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So you're not alone. There you go.
See, I'm not crazy.
Well, we didn't say that. We said you're not alone.
No, I said that.
And now I know a little bit of I've got some insight from Jem on this one. And again, poor Daz, you're just getting hammered here, buddy. Actually, well, that's a very good pun. Let's talk about drinking too much in an event.
He's getting hammered.
Yeah, you get hammered. We all, I think, have had a little bit too much sauce, some liquid courage in the past, and maybe haven't, acted appropriately or performed appropriately or whatever. What happened with you?
I guess when we first got into the lifestyle, and certainly at some of the bigger events, there's still a sort of mentality of a kind of going out mentality for me, or there certainly was early on.
Yeah.
Which is like, hey, we're all here, we're all having drinks, things like that.
Yeah.
We would always probably have a couple of drinks just to kind of loosen up and things like that. There's a limit. There's a limit for me where I will go from loosening up drinks to like out drinks.
That's know your limit.
Now, when you talk about those triggers and jealousy responses and things like that, it's very quickly heightened by alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Which one is now we're so strict now with our drinking at events because of this. It's never caused an issue, but it certainly meant we had one experience where I was struggling with it, with what was going on. So nothing was happening, but we had the potential to kind of jump in with some couples, have some group stuff going on. And because of the alcohol, I'm just struggling to process it. And Jem can sort of see that. And Jem's totally relaxed and like, hey, this is fun. We're kind of going with the flow. Jem's very good at recognizing in me when I'm not comfortable. And she's pretty quickly gone like, you're not all right with this, are you? And I'm just like, no, and because of that guy, and you're kind of like, I think you like him. And I'm like, and Jem's like, you've had a few too many drinks.
Off we go. Take ourselves out of the situation.
Like, we've had a great night. This is sort of later on, kind of 11, 12 o'clock. Had a great night. Like, let's go. It was a situation that nothing happened, but one of those situations where you recognize things very quickly can go wrong when alcohol's involved. I'm not able to control those emotional responses.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually empathize with this a lot, because this is actually something that happens to me. You will get sober Kate, and here's my emotional output to a scenario, and then you will get tipsy wine Kate, and then there's a couple of versions of tipsy wine Kate. There's shit-faced tipsy wine Kate, and then somewhere between that version, there's a completely almost childish reaction to emotional inputs. And we actually have a couple of counsellors that specialise in non-monogamy, and the way she explains it is, she says your amygdala's flipped. Like, at that point, once you get that emotional reaction, your amygdala flips, and then there's really no logical brain back. Then that's fucking it for the night. You know what I mean? And you're right, it just kind of escalates. And unless your partner you know, it depends on how Jem's reaction to that's going to be too. If her reaction of one is like, but I was really excited and I really wanted to play with these people, then you're going to really fly off the handle. So I totally, I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. And I can tell you there have been moments over our journey in the past 10 years where I've had too much and I've had a completely emotional reaction. I wake up the next morning and I'm like, why did I do that? Feel that way.
Yeah, you do that too.
Yeah.
And it's funny you hearing that there's two versions, because there's definitely two versions for Daz. There's the version that he's just said about where he gets like a bit jealous and is, there's the funny version as well, isn't there? Where it was another incident.
The crazy jealous version. There's the version that's just like child mind. And it's just running around and having the best time ever. Not always the most welcome in clubs. So I think we're trying to take it really serious. Yeah.
But you took some performance enhancing
that's right.
some Viagra. And when you drank a little bit too much, and then because he was like loud, funny, tipsy, he started saying how big his erection was and how big his dick looked.
Yeah, so
I'm like, oh God, no, time to go.
We were in a group room, but we were playing alone in a kind of corner somewhere. But I was sort of stood up on the bed, kind of swinging it around and being like, wow, look at the size of this.
It's time to go.
I would love to witness that.
Yeah, I'm sort of like, oh, sorry, mate, I got a bit on your leg. So just so Jem's like, we need to take ourselves.
Okay, if that happens again though, Jem, before you leave, can you just come and get me just so I can spend 5 minutes witnessing?
It's quite exciting.
Video it.
And also with alcohol, I mean, this kind of really leads well into the next question. With alcohol, you also have a tendency to fuck up your boundaries, right? You've gone in with this very clear set of boundaries. You've agreed upon them. You've spoken about your desires, what you want to get out of the evening. You've had some drinks and they go out the window. So with your boundaries, is there anything that you thought you were comfortable with? You got into a scenario and then you found it extremely challenging. How did you handle it?
Yeah, we got involved in an orgy.
Yeah.
And so we started playing, the two of us, all good. Yeah. But there were some people that we didn't know very well. And we always like to kind of, like we were saying before, we like to have that connection and, you know, get to know them before, you know, anything else happens. And it was sort of at the point where people started moving around and I could feel that Daz was getting really uncomfortable because I could just read him so well. We don't even always need our code word. I just know. And I was like, you okay? He's like, no, I'm not. And I was like, come on, let's go. And I think the main thing whenever that kind of happens is just take yourself out of the situation.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely knew we were kind of pushing limits and we sort of said, let's just kind of jump in and see what, because again, you know, people talk about, hey, there's this orgy. It's a bit like, well, what does that mean? Like, what's happening? Like, how's everyone pairing off? Like, so let's just kind of go and sit in there and see what's kind of happening. And then,
because at the start you were not up for it, and then like because you said about boundaries, and then a bit later on he was like, "Yeah, do you know what? Let's do it." I was like, "Oh, okay then."
But I definitely started to see this kind of like, oh, okay, this is kind of, and I don't think this is the same. I guess it changes from orgy to orgy, and people agree beforehand what the rules are, or they don't. But you could see with this, it was kind of like more of an open swap. And we were kind of like, oh, okay, we don't know some of these people. Right. We're not comfortable doing this. So we took ourselves out. Now, the awkwardness is always that kind of like, hey, sorry, guys. Like, we're kind of
off.
And afterwards, we were sort of sat there. Obviously, everyone was still going. And we were discussing like, what should we say to them? Should we say like we didn't feel very well, or like how do you overcome that embarrassment? And I said, well, let's just be honest. And
so this is what this lifestyle's all about. Yeah. Everyone's really understanding. Yeah. Let's just be honest.
So they kind of came out. We knew some of them. Some of them are sort of good friends anyway, and they're kind of like, hey, is everything okay, guys? And we just said we just weren't feeling it. We started to feel a bit uncomfortable and took ourselves out of the situation. And the reassurance from them, they're so like, so glad you did that. Everyone's like, they'd much rather you took yourself out of a situation you're not comfortable with than just stayed in it to try and appease people who are around you, which is the worst thing.
It's very difficult once you do something that you're not happy with. You can't take it back. So,
Isn't that also a wild concept, though? You were worried about saying no to sex with people because you're worried about feeling awkward. Like, it's such a... And I feel this way all the time because I'm also quite a people pleaser. And I'm just like, but it's also my body, and I'm about to let somebody do something to my body and I'm feeling awkward or apologetic about not letting them do that. Like, how are we humans? How do we actually even live day to day is just beyond me about this stuff. I'm glad you were honest though, and I'm glad that they accepted it, because I was about to say if they didn't accept it, fuck them, but don't fuck them.
Exactly. Yeah, but not literally.
No, but that's great. And I think you're right about the orgy situation too. I remember, I want to say it was in our first year of the lifestyle, and I think we did a podcast episode about it actually, because there was a potential for an orgy, and we were kind of slightly maybe into a few couples in there, and say there was 8 couples, and we thought, okay, we like 4 of the couples, and we had a big conversation about how do we reject the other 4 mid-orgy if they come over and you're like kind of not really keen, you know, and that's an awkward thing. And I think now one of the ways we do it is we actually have a circle of consent at the very, very beginning. But you're right, in some of those club environments when everything's just kind of a little bit more fluid, it's kind of tough to just mid-play just be like, you yes, sorry, you're off, you're on the bench, buddy. You're not getting any play.
Yeah, it is rough.
Move along.
Yeah, it is difficult. We've always been very strong in terms of being like, we're never going to put ourselves in a situation we're not happy with. With that orgy situation, by coming away and having a chat about it, if we sort of come away and gone, actually, like, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay with it. You can always jump back in.
Yeah.
But give yourself that moment to step away and just, you know, reaffirm, are you happy with what's happening? If there's any sort of doubt, there'll be another day. Like, you don't need to kind of take
another day, another orgy.
Another orgy tomorrow.
Oh, it's only Wednesday, yeah.
Yes.
We've got time.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and again, that was another sort of valuable learning experience for us, that it's like, it's okay to just take yourself out of a scenario.
It's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, you just mentioned before, in particular reference to this orgy, that a few of the people in there were quite good friends of yours, or friends that you've kind of built up over the course of your journeys. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the positives that people don't think about, the lifestyle community. What's your thoughts on it? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, we love it. We love the fact that I think, you know, the misconception is, it's just people having a fuck fest, but no, it is the community. You know, you make all these new connections, you make new friends, and it's so nice, because once you think you want to get into the lifestyle, you sort of think, oh, am I the only one? You know, we the only couple. But no, there's, you know, there are so many people, and it's just meeting like-minded people and then creating those new friendships. It's brilliant. We love it.
Yeah, definitely. I think we'd sort of got to I don't know whether it's an age, but we've certainly got to a point in life where we sort of like, the friends we've got around, so we have really close, tight friends that we've known for a long time, but the friends groups just get smaller and smaller. We're not sort of socializing as much and things like that. And we were sort of missing that connection with people just on a social level, and people who were kind of like-minded with us. And we started being more and more like, we're not quite like everyone else. Like, there are things we think and do and ways that we feel that we can't relate to a lot of people that we know through work and things like that, for instance. So by getting into the lifestyle, suddenly it was that breath of fresh air, like, oh, there's so many people like us, like they're all here.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that because we had no way of connecting. There wasn't the social media platforms and things that there are available now. So yeah, it was going out to events and building WhatsApp groups, and now we've just connected so many different people. We're in so many different groups.
It's a whole new world, isn't it?
It is, and it's like,
lovely people.
We look forward to each event. So we're going to see another group of like, oh yeah, we're going to see them for that thing. And in fact, one of the things we're trying to do now is find more obscure events because it's becoming too much like everyone's just going and having the same parties, which is great. But we're like, oh, we're not meeting anyone else at the moment. Yeah, you definitely have to kind of reach out and make sure you're expanding that social circle.
That's so true. I think you just said it might be an age thing. I honestly think it is, because I think we start to really appreciate the energy that we put into certain tasks, people, relationships. And as you say, you grow and people kind of move and adapt. And it's not that there's any bad blood between people, but, you know, there's only a certain amount of time in the day and there's only a certain amount of energy that you can put into something. And then I think when you are putting energy into an area where you're like, actually, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to put it over here. And you know, it feels better. It's like a more fruitful kind of relationship. Back on the hot seat for the two of you. So get your buns ready. We've spoken about your passion for the going to the gym. I think that's great. for a few reasons. Obviously, it's very healthy, but I see you doing it on Instagram as a couple as well. And so I think it's great that you both share that passion together, and it's your time away from work, from family, to connect and that sort of stuff. But of course, with sharing this kind of a journey and sharing, a fitter body on social media, you're going to get a lot of negativity come from it. And a very common saying is in the lifestyle is that we're not Ken and Barbie. We're just your average couple. So my question is, do you come against that? People kind of taking shots at you or assuming your personalities are a certain way because of your physical appearance? And then how do you guys deal with, trying to be more inclusive and showing people that you're, greater than the sum of your body parts?
I think firstly, we want to have good bodies and we want to make ourselves look good because it makes us feel good, like mentally it makes us feel really good. And anybody can do it if they want to, but I think as answering that as part of the lifestyle, we are attracted to people that don't necessarily have amazing bodies because they've got an amazing personality, and you just connect with them with their energy and on a different level. So definitely, they don't have to look, have the perfect body and have the perfect face. It is about that connection with people.
For us, the whole gym thing, and that was something that we'd always sort of done. So that was kind of a part of us. It was never something that we did to please anyone else. We did it for each other and for ourselves, and then kind of got into the lifestyle. When we decided, let's kind of be open about this and kind of put ourselves out there, we did think if we did more fitness stuff, we would probably get more attention for it. We didn't see that as a bad thing because we thought any attention we're bringing to this lifestyle, any people we're kind of converting and showing that it's okay, is a good thing, because potentially people might look at us and kind of go, oh, cool, like those guys, that's how they live. And it's not the image that I thought I had of what swinging would be. So we only see it as a positive. In terms of, like Jem said, when we go to clubs and things like that, there's always going to be a total variety of different types of people and body shapes. And one of the great things with this lifestyle is the body positivity element of it. Every woman, I can't comment on the guys, but every woman looks beautiful when they kind of strip down to their fanciest lingerie. And that's the really great thing. And so many times we've been at events, chatted to women who have been new to the scene who are like, I don't feel confident. So many beautiful women around.
My mum bod.
Yeah.
And just the support that they get from people who are like, are you joking? Like, you're stunning, you look amazing. And pretty quickly, like, you can just see the confidence come out of them. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of people are into the lifestyle, is because of that. There is nothing that will give you a bigger boost to self-confidence than go into an event where everyone's essentially kind of stripped down to their bare minimum, and it's like, hey, this is who I am. You will feed off that confidence. You'll come away glowing, as I say, regardless of whether you explore the whole couple swap side of it. It's much more than that. It's much more about people just feeling great with who they are and confident in communicating and confident with their own sexuality.
Yeah, being unapologetically themselves. But you did just say when people are stripped down to their fancy lingerie. So what happens, though, when people leave the lingerie back at the pre-venue and don't actually take it to the club?
Who would do such a thing?
You can imagine. Yeah.
Yes, I left my lingerie sex bag at the hotel.
Yeah, I got the blame for that.
You did. You were in charge of it. It was your responsibility.
It's me running around going, we need to find the lingerie.
Code red. That's a really fond memory.
Yeah, so we very kindly got it back for us.
I'll just have to say on that note, that has been one of our favourite events, actually, the hotel takeover.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely love that.
I just love the little memories like that are totally outside of what you expect to really take away from an event. And one of my core memories of that is like not only you coming down to the reception area and being like, well, fuck, I've got to go back to the hotel. And then us getting it, and then on the other end of the telephone, like the mishaps of trying to find it and stuff. It's a full-on core memory.
Always check where your undies bag is.
Check where your undies bag is. That's gold star advice right there. As we get ready to wrap up then, where do you see your journey in the future? You mentioned earlier that you're looking for some different kind of events to go to, exploring some new things. So what are you guys what's on the horizon for you for 2024 and in the future?
trying new events, new clubs?
Yeah, we'd like to get abroad and sort of try some different countries, see what the scenes are like.
Big fan of that.
Yeah,
that's definitely probably our next step at the moment.
Just, we really want to be advocates for the lifestyle, and that's one of the reasons, isn't it, that we decided to sort of come out, so to speak, and show our faces so we can show people what it's done for us and how it's helped us, and kind of help other people with body confidence and sex positivity. And
we're happy, like I say, when you put yourself out on social media and you do articles and things like that, you open yourself up to a lot of criticism. That criticism doesn't bother us. Like, we're very thick-skinned, so we're quite happy to go out there and sort of put ourselves out publicly and kind of take whatever's thrown at us.
Take the hits for the community.
Take one for the team.
Never take one for the team.
No, never take one for the team. Not in the lifestyle. Don't take one for the team. Bad advice.
But yeah, ultimately, we think this is such a positive thing that we do, and we think the whole lifestyle has got so many benefits to so many people. But historically, people haven't really wanted to talk about it. It's been a bit more of a taboo subject, and now there's so many people who are sort of out there vocalizing and happy to talk about it, and we're just really sort of proud, because they're the people that brought us into it, to now be able to kind of pay it forward and say, like, okay, we're in now, like, here's how we're finding it, because everyone will relate to different people and different people's scenarios, and some people might relate to us.
That's very true, because there are, I think at the moment, over 100 English-speaking swinger podcasts. When we started, there was about 5. And I always say to people, if our voices annoy you, if our approach it disagrees with your approach, like, please go and find somebody else. And it's the same with social media. If you're following someone on social media and, it's about the vibe, as you said earlier, if you're really getting that vibe from them, like, follow and consume their content, and, and then the people that they interact with as well might be of the same ilk as you. So see who they're interacting with, and then go and follow them. Speaking of social media, if you do actually want to connect with Jem and Daz, I'm going to have some show notes here, and you can go and find the Instagram, the Twitter. I'm going to have the TikTok in there as well. So if you guys want to follow them on any of those platforms, you are absolutely more than welcome to, and checking out their journey. And I actually did know that you had fur babies, because I do follow you on Instagram, and every time you guys are out for coffee with your fur babies, I'm like, oh, my kind of people, love it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Any other final words that you would like to leave our listeners with as we close out today's episode?
Yeah, just like I say, hopefully if you're thinking about exploring the lifestyle at all, get out there and get to an event, follow some people on social media, and give it a try. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, and it might not be for you, but it might be the best thing you ever did.
Oh, I love it.
Love that. What a perfect way to end. And thank you again for joining us on today's episode. I've really had a great time. I hope that you guys enjoyed that too.
Yeah, we did.
I'll see you in March then.
We can't wait.
You forgot to ask us about our outfits.
Oh yeah. What are you wearing? What are you wearing to the black and white ball? And I'm also going to bring some handcuffs, and I'm going to actually handcuff your lingerie to you.
Oh, now that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
You're going to handcuff it to Dad, because he's the one that forgot it.
You can handcuff me anytime.
Ooh, sassy. So do you actually have your outfits planned?
I think we're going black, aren't we?
We're going to go
black or white, isn't it?
It is black and white, yeah.
We've got another event coming up in a couple of weeks, which is like a black tie event. And so I'm going to buy a black double-breasted suit for that, which I can wear with a bow tie. So I'd probably wear that with like a black polo neck and go very James Bond-esque.
Dad's loves to go into real details about his attire. Yeah. We've had conversations about this before. He was actually telling a girl once about this jacket. One of the girls just got up and left. I was like, wow, Dad, you need to stop.
Literally, all these girls in underwear, me explaining the fine details of tailoring a men's jacket.
Like, that is too much. They don't want to know that. It's a jacket. That's the end.
Yeah, it's a black jacket with a black t-shirt. That's what we're doing.
I actually like the detail. So yes, thank you for sharing that.
I'll get him to talk to you about it then.
And what about you, Jem? Do you have yours?
I've got a white option and a black option, and I'm not sure what one yet. So
nice.
we'll have a try-on session, won't we? a white short type
You
option.
might put it on social media and take a poll.
Yeah, take a poll. That's the way to do it, isn't
there
it?
you go. Yeah, on an Instagram story, take a poll. I love that. Well, it's been absolutely fabulous, guys. Thank you again for joining us today. And I'm really looking forward to publishing this and just hearing everyone's feedback. If you want to get in contact with me, you can reach out on email at wanderlustswingers.com. Or as I mentioned before, you can connect with Jem and Daz on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. We'll see you next time, guys.